Welcome back, guys. I am so happy that you are here. We have a different episode today. Today is a very educational episode, something very much different than I've ever done before, but I am over the moon excited to have my guest on here today. Her name is Gina. She is from Staten Island, New York, and she talks about how it really is to live with two beautiful children on the spectrum. We talk about the ups, we talk about the downs. We also talk about the early signs of possible delays in children that hopefully could help you or somebody that you know. We also speak about the common misperceptions about children on the spectrum. We hope this was helpful for you guys, and if you enjoyed this episode, please reach out and let me know. So without further ado, here is part one. This is the Kristen Ann Show, New York licensed social worker and board certified life coach. I just want to help you explore different ways to think. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hi. Here.
Sweating.
We're sweating. We're nervous.
Gonna shit my pants.
We already did, though. We pooped our pants already. We're here.
We're here.
We're fucking here. What is he making down there? It smells like he's making bread. You saw that?
We're burning bread. If it was my husband, you would hear the sound of
it sounds like he's fucking burning something. All right, well, if we go down, we go down.
Go. What's his name?
He's fucking fine. He's a big boy.
We're gonna die up here for real.
We're gonna die. Literally
That's
die.
how I was sweating. The house is on fire.
We're on fire, but we're gonna finish the podcast.
Okay.
We're here. I'm very excited for our next guest. Isn't that crazy?
I'm also followed by Nick.
Yep.
That's huge.
Really?
That's huge.
You really? That's a big thing? It can't be a big thing.
It's a big thing.
It's a big thing. Okay. So, Gina, I actually know from my sister. And I reached out to Gina because I wanted to talk about a specific topic that I've never spoken about on my podcast. Like, let alone like social media or anything like that. A lot of people that follow me, have listened to the podcast, know that I am an ABA therapist. So I work with children on the spectrum. But I thought it was a really good idea to do.
You are an ABA therapist?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh my God, you didn't know that?
I'm like, oh, she listens. She knows.
No, I
She's
did
like
not know that.
An
I
avid
swear.
listener. Yeah.
Have you mentioned it on your podcast?
I did.
Now I look like a piece of shit, by the way.
We're done. We're done.
You're
We're done. You're done. You're done.
I swear I did not know that. And your sister has never mentioned it.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. As my mom would say, wow. Gina has not even mentioned that. We're done. We're done.
Gina's canceled.
She's canceled. Cancel culture. Cancel culture. So yeah, so I have been working with children on the spectrum for, I'm going to say it's been like a couple of years, but consistently for like a year now.
Like in EI, early
EI,
intervention.
yeah, my full-time job. Yeah, so long story
Gina,
short,
you're in trouble.
Can you believe that? I can't believe she doesn't even mention
No.
that.
I swear.
It's good for me to know. Just like mentally take a note of that. Okay. So that's what I've been doing for like a year because I used to work in the DOE.
Mm-hmm.
And then I resigned.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm trying to kind of get back into the DOE. So that's long story short.
Like
so,
to be a teacher? Or to be a
social
therapist?
worker.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the school.
In the school. So I've done that. I did that for only a couple of months and then COVID happened. And then I was remote for like a year. And then I resigned. And it would be, I think
remote just like did not work as far as therapy.
So let's get into why I did. So my thing was, it wasn't EI. I wasn't doing EI at that point. I was just doing the school.
Okay.
So there was no EI, ABA therapy at that time.
Okay.
I wasn't doing that yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was just doing the schools. So let's get into why Miss Gina is here today with me today. I don't think I made sense on that one. With me today, here today.
It's all right.
So if you're nervous, Gina, you can just tell. I'm the same way.
We're both, yeah.
We're both just like nervous wrecks.
Yeah. And both of us, our stomach just turns when
we're not okay. We're both like, we just went to the bathroom.
I cannot be out driving in a car when I'm like this.
That's like me.
I cannot.
Every single day.
I cannot.
It's not fun.
Like Target's right here. I know where all the locations
Me, so
are
do
where
I
can go to the bathroom. Isn't that crazy?
No, because
I'll leave the house, and then 2 minutes later I come back, and my husband doesn't even like question me anymore. Now he's just like, you know what?
You know what? This is a bonding moment for me and Gina because I didn't know that about you, and
it's so bad.
that's me.
It's so bad.
Like in a nutshell. So
sorry guys, that this is the conversation.
And if you don't like it,
coming from two women.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
not cute.
I'm sure a lot of people go through this and just nobody wants to talk about it. It's not cute. It's not sexy, but it's real life. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't be. I mean, probably the same thing. I wouldn't be me if I wasn't honest.
No. Oh, absolutely. Like, I love Gina because of her honesty. So let's go back a little bit. How Gina and I met was that, and I want to take your story, is that my sister Gina, the two Ginas here, my sister Gina, speech pathologist, works with.
So she was the speech therapist for my son in early intervention. She came on like the tail end. And for me, we bonded so quickly and so easily right away.
I'm not surprised. Because your personality is very much like Gina and I.
She's just chill.
Yeah.
Like, she's chill, she's fun, she's silly. My kids love her.
Oh, I'm sure.
I love her. She immediately became family to us.
Yeah.
So when my son aged out and went into, preschool, my daughter was diagnosed at 15 months. So once I found out that, I was going to get therapy for her as well, I was like, hey, can you jump on? Hey, can you jump on? Hey. And I was lucky enough to grab 2 people that my son had.
Wow.
Yeah.
To work
with
your
one
daughter.
of them was Gina, which was, thank God. Yeah.
So I remember I would talk to Gina. She never tells me about her clients ever. I don't know how me and you connected then.
So she would.
I think she
would always harass me like, you gotta start a page. You have to start a page. Oh my God, you're so funny. You really you have to start. I'm like, I've always thought about it, but for me, like, I can't just jump into something. I need to like let it marinate. I have to think about it. I have to decide when it's the right time.
Yeah.
My life is so consumed already. Like, it's hard for me to just create something and not give it
like 110%.
Exactly. So
Absolutely.
things have to like sit with me, and then I'll
So
but I've always thought about it, but I just didn't want to just do it and that's it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I wanted to genuinely gain my followers. Slow is fine. Like, I just didn't want to put everything out there and then that's it.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? So she would constantly like harass me about it. And then she would say, oh, you got to look at my sister's stuff. You have to look at my sister's stuff.
Oh, so you give me some credit for something then, I guess, right?
You have to look. You have to look. And I think the first video she sent me was the one where you come out in the road. And you're like listening to gangster rap. And then all of a sudden it's like, so I want to circle back into
That was
so I'm like, oh man, this girl. I have to follow her. She's hysterical. And I think we just like hit it off right away.
We did. You started following me, then I started following you. And I'm like, oh, she's funny too. I like her. Yeah. So then I think I probably mentioned to Gina, like, hey, do you know this person? Or something like that. Or maybe she told me that Gina's going to be following you. She didn't tell me like
your end.
Yeah, I forgot.
She was just like, you have to look at my sister.
I honestly forgot like how we kind of like made the connection. I think it was more like...
definitely her. She's the matchmaker.
Yeah, she is the matchmaker with the friends, which I'm very
But I
much
don't
happy
know
about.
like how exactly.
Me too.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but we're here now. And then
But
Gina,
I think you're also very much like me where like you support other women.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not a competition.
No.
It's... wow, she's really funny. Wow, she's relatable. I need to be
a part of that. Like, I need to, like, connect with her because I think that she's so
and
cool.
that's how I'm very much like myself.
Yeah.
Like, I follow tons of funny people, tons of other...
people that make you feel
autism
good, right?
mothers. Like, I follow, like, a whole... what's the word?
Plethora?
Oh, yeah, I don't even know how to say
like
it.
that
was the word that was in my head, but I couldn't...
It's okay. There's a lot of words that I can't say, so I'm surprised I got to say that one.
Yeah. But I'll say it, and I'll say to my husband, like, is that right?
Did I say this?
Yeah.
This
I mean, I still ask him when my birthday is every year. But
when is your birthday?
July 5th.
So you knew. Your husband's not here. You knew your birthday.
Yeah. But I not that I ask him, like, how old I am every year. Not so much my birthday. I'm just like, how old am I going to be again?
Okay. Well, it's like also like a shock because we're just getting older. Like, Are you sure? Like when I turned 33, I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
It's 33? Like I turned 33.
I feel like after 35, you kind of lose.
It just doesn't matter how old you are.
That care, or when you have children, like you lose that because your focus is now on them. That you're just like, oh, it's my birthday.
Right. I don't have that yet, but I'm sure I will.
Oh yeah, you will.
I don't have kids yet.
You will.
People are like, when are you gonna have them? I'm like,
they literally suck the life out of you that you forget that you're a person.
How old you are. Right.
Yeah.
So
good time.
My mother would always ask, like, when are you gonna have kids? And I say, so politely, when I stop shitting my pants, I'll start having kids. Like, let me tackle that.
No, they slow that down.
Do they?
When you're pregnant? Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Constipated.
Oh, that's like a whole bag of other issues.
It's a dream.
Right. I don't want to be shitting my pants, but I also don't want to be constipated. So it's like, where's this healthy balance?
It's like a happy medium.
Okay, fine. I'll take that. I'll take that.
It's good.
So Gina, both of your children are considered to be on the spectrum.
Yes.
Okay. So I always thought that
so the spectrum is very wide.
Can you explain that to everybody what exactly that means and why that? Do you even know why they changed? So it used to be just autism, and then now I'm not sure how long ago it was.
I don't know why it changed. I just know that there's no more autism and Asperger's.
Right.
Asperger's is out.
Right. It's on the
Some
spectrum.
people still use it because I think that they like the way it sounds.
Okay. Sure.
For their children.
Sure.
And for their viewers.
Sure. Okay.
Or who they speak to. But there is high functioning autism and low functioning autism.
Mm.
It's a whole spectrum now. It's not
just one thing anymore.
Yeah.
Which makes sense why it's not just autism anymore. It's on the spectrum. So that means a child can be really low functioning or really high functioning with just some delays.
Yeah, and they say when you meet a person with autism, you meet a person with autism because they're all so very different. And I feel like everybody has the same picture in their head.
Yeah.
But it's really not like that.
It's not really like that.
No.
Okay. Gina, there's a lot that we want to talk about. I actually have like a sheet of shit that we want to talk about. Mm-hmm. And because...
A sheet of shit.
A sheet of shit. Sheet of shit. This is terrible to say because all of this stuff is actually beautiful stuff to talk about. So, not a sheet of shit, a sheet of beautiful stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that's a better thing to say. So, again, Gina and I connected, would we say a couple of months ago?
Well, Gina probably has been with me, and probably she'll probably get mad at me and tell me, "No, you're wrong." I think she's been with us. I want to say a year and a half, maybe 2 years, but I could be wrong because my daughter has been. So my daughter is 2. She just turned 2 in May, and she started therapy. I would say about like 18 months old because she was diagnosed at 15 months.
Okay.
But she was with me for my son too, but at the tail end.
Right.
So he's going to be 4 in October. So
I would say, going to be 4?
Yeah, I would say maybe like 2 years.
That you've known Gina for 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's about 2 years.
But you and I have just recently met, maybe like a couple of months ago.
Yeah, a couple of months.
And again, we just really organically, as Gina was explaining, my sister was telling her about my page because she was pushing you to do more things with your page. Mm-hmm. And again, we just connected. And more recently,
I would laugh at her stuff. She would laugh at mine. I would write her, and she would write me
all the time.
I think, like you told me when you were thinking about doing a podcast,
yes.
And I
so
was
this
like,
had to be
that's really awesome. I've been thinking about it myself, but also, again, to go back, like that's not something you jump into either.
Right.
I'm sure that's something that had to marinate.
It did. It had to marinate.
Think about plan.
It had to marinate for a while. Then I'm like, okay, how long am I going to sit on this? Like, Yes, I have a job. I don't have kids, so like, why not just do it now? Like, there's really nothing holding me back. The only thing holding me back is me. Like, that's the only reason why. So I'm happy that we're here. I'm going to talk about your children that are on the spectrum, and I'm so happy that you agreed to come on here and speak about this.
I'm happy that you asked.
Absolutely,
because I feel like nobody really has that interest, and it's really big when somebody does.
What do you
Especially
think?
Somebody that doesn't have have a child on the spectrum.
Yeah. Why do you think that nobody talks about it, or like wants to talk about it?
Mm,
Like your personal opinion.
I don't know. Maybe they just don't know how. Like they don't
It's a good
know
way, yeah.
the
Don't know
right
how.
or the wrong thing to say.
Yeah.
They don't really have like. So to go back, not to I have my bachelor's in early childhood education.
Okay.
So I would say like 70% of what I learned was about children with special needs.
Wow.
I
So
mean, do
a
you
good
feel like
amount.
the same thing?
I mean,
A lot of
so my
like the red flags,
oh,
the
sure.
characteristics. Like
Absolutely.
I feel like I already had
you had the background of trying to figure out,
and I already
the signs.
cared to know. I don't feel like a lot of people care to know.
Do you mean like specifically parents or just people in general?
People
in general. Okay.
Well, maybe parents too, like that don't have a child on the spectrum.
Sure.
They can't relate to you. So
well, that's the thing, right? People can't relate.
Right.
And if they can't relate, maybe it's just something that they don't talk about. That's not a bad thing.
Even if you can't relate, you don't feel like you were ever interested. See, I feel like I always had an interest. Or else I wouldn't have went to school.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think for me, I've always had an interest as well. I also have.
Some people are curious, some people are not. Some people will look at your child, and some will just act like your child is not even in the room.
So we're gonna get to that because we want to talk about like different signs that you notice. Mm-hmm. We also want to talk about what our listeners can take away from this podcast about maybe your child is out on the spectrum, but like how can you maybe help your child child on the spectrum? Does that make sense of what I just said? Mm-hmm. Or like advice, like from a parent whose child's on the spectrum. Hey, this is how you can do like you can help a child on the spectrum be included in something, a party or like at school and stuff like that. So we're gonna kind of get into like the nitty gritty with a mom whose children are on the spectrum, and I think it's really awesome that you decided again to come on here and speak about it.
I'm honored.
Absolutely an honor. Oh my God, I'm sweating. It's making me sweat with the honor. Sweating with the honor. Me, I'm like, Gina, like 4 people are probably going to listen to this. Like 4 people in my family, 5 probably you, and that's it. But
honey, you're gaining a whole community now.
I hope so. That's the whole point. Listen, I started this because I had a story to tell. And if my story can help one person or maybe just 5 people and make them feel like they're not alone, then I did what I wanted to do. Yes, I am not going to lie. I want my podcast to be a podcast where I get sponsored and all that beautiful things. But I know that takes time. Yeah, and until then, this is what we're going to do. And I felt so compelled to reach out to Gina because you did a Instagram post recently. It was not a story. It was a post. And now I'm forgetting, and I wish I did it because it was the reason why I reached out to you.
To say.
It was the things not to say to a parent or to a child.
I think it was a parent. Yeah, parent.
Okay, so why don't we go all the way back to your first child when you first saw the signs that something might be there might be a delay.
So with Frederick, I was pregnant with my daughter. I was 7 months pregnant.
So you were 7 months pregnant when you realized the signs with Frederick?
Yes.
Okay. So can you explain to our listeners what signs that you saw?
So a lot of like the red flags would be not answering to, their name, limited eye contact, stimming. Although Frederick didn't really hand flap, you see a lot of that in children. He didn't really hand flap. He more so like circled the kitchen island, like a lot of repetitive routine behavior when he was excited. Again, I feel like with my background, I was able to notice these things right away. Where I don't think that like another parent that wasn't educated on this topic would really notice.
Makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
Like people who are not educated with signs, and it might be your first child, which it was for you, don't really know what they're looking for, or what could be a delay, and like what is a delay and what isn't a delay. Yeah. So that makes sense. So it was the repetitive behavior. It was the not answering to the name. Now let me ask you a question. I know
a major one was he used to talk. Like
So
my son is nonverbal now, but my son had 5 words.
So that was my next question. Did he then regress?
Yeah.
So he was talking a little bit, and then he had 5 words.
He had like a good 5 words. He would say like car. He would sit on a car and go car, car. He would say cookie. He would say dad, dad. I have a video of him, dad, 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 dad. I'm trying to think of what else. He used to say up. There was like a few.
So there were words that he was saying.
Yeah.
And then you
not
noticed,
a ton. Not a ton.
It was something, sure.
Yeah, but I noticed all of a sudden he would like stop saying those things, or I would see that he was struggling to find the words. So because it's a motor planning issue.
Can you explain what a motor planning issue is?
Where the brain doesn't exactly connect to like wanting like a gross motor.
Like the brain is not connecting to their mouth to like that signal.
Yes. It's
of
not
like,
sending that signal to.
Right. Okay. Because we want to I don't want to say dumb it down, but I want everyone to like, if no one has an idea of what if any of this means, we want to really like bring it down to like the first grade level of like, this is what this means. So basically what Gina's saying is that the delay with children on the spectrum as
the
well.
Pathways in the brain.
The pathways in the brain, like we have something, we have a thought, right, in our brain, and it just...
And he can't connect that.
So the connection is not there. Okay. So that's one of the first signs that you were seeing. And
I remember saying to my husband, like, you know, I see things in him that are, you know, kind of like autism. And my husband is very, you know, he needs facts, he needs science, he needs it proved by a doctor. He's just like, I'm not going to diagnose my child. Let's relax. Let's make an appointment. Talk to the pediatrician and see what they say. Also, your pediatrician is not going to say, listen, we see a delay, or he's not where he's at, or she's not where she's at, or where she's supposed to be at. They're just going to give you the referral to have an evaluation done.
Okay. Now, why do you think that the doctor doesn't want to give that? Because I've heard you're not the only person.
I just think it's like a touchy...
You're not the only parent who has told me that. When I come and I don't do evaluations.
Like I have people that tell me all the time, well, the doctor never said anything, so I guess he's fine. It's just like the doctor's not going to do that.
Sometimes
I think it's just like a touchy thing.
We love doctors, right? They're there for specific reasons.
Also, they don't specialize.
That as well. They don't specialize in this specific thing.
My son goes to a pediatrician and he goes to a developmental behavioral specialist.
Ah, okay. So
They're two totally different.
So let me ask you a question. So people that are listening, let's say if you go to your doctor and they're saying, oh, I don't see anything, but like I'll give you the referral if you like. Can you then go to the developmental doctor also at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You need the referral.
You need the referral from the doctor.
Yeah.
To then go to the developmental specialist.
Yes.
And they'll be able to tell you.
Without a referral.
Sure.
I needed one.
Okay, that's fine. But like, it's good for people to know that, or if they're listening to this thinking that, like, I think that I'm seeing these signs, I just don't know what steps to take. I think it's good to know that, number one, your doctor may not want to give that diagnosis so early on, especially if they're under 3.
Especially if they're not sure, too.
Especially if they're not sure. Right.
If they, sense that your child has it, but it's more of, the high-functioning side, they won't be comfortable enough to put their
Why do you think
name on
they won't be comfortable
because
enough?
they're not sure.
Because they're not sure.
They're not sure. Like we said, it's a very wide...
Right.
It's a very wide low and there's high. And when there's high, you're really not sure. Because, like my daughter. So my daughter is high-functioning autism. She has high-functioning autism, and she talks. She's verbal. She's social. Not a lot of functional language, but we're working on it.
Okay.
So
now,
there's two totally different...
When you say functional language, what exactly is that?
Like mommy, up, you know.
So 2 words together, like telling you
something.
Like
a community, like how we communicate.
Right. She's giving you something that she wants.
It's more like a word instead of like, mommy, juice, please. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's more like juice. And it's like, babe, Let's get out. Let's pull out like the mommy
juice,
want
please.
juice, please. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But she's also still 2.
Sure.
You know.
But like you said, Frederick was how old when you first saw the signs?
Like
I know you were pregnant at 7 months.
18
months
something
old.
like that, because he got diagnosed at probably like 22 months. But
So
like waiting for evals and them happening, and this is in the thick of COVID.
Oh, this isn't back in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about a whole different type of animal as well, because we have this whole thing happening in 2020, and then also like people's lives still going on that need some help.
Yeah,
that's a whole whole different episode. Yeah. I'm sure.
And his evals were like Zoom. They weren't even like in the home. So,
how did you feel that one? How did you feel over the Zoom evaluation?
I think they got a good picture of who he is, because I think they base their conclusions more so on what the parents tell them, because let's not forget, he's nonverbal, and he's not answering their questions. We are. So
right.
You know,
there was, for a lot of my families, I felt like their issue, a lot of that was that they would bring their child to the doctor like so early on, like maybe a little bit past a year, and even the agencies would kind of deny them as well. So what would you say for parents that feel like there's something going on with their child?
Follow your gut.
Follow your gut.
Follow your gut.
Would you say be your biggest advocate?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you have to be your child's advocate.
Because New York is great.
They are very
children
good.
with special needs.
Right, guys.
But they give you the bare minimum, and you have to fight.
Yeah.
You have to fight for more, because your child deserves everything.
Absolutely.
That they can have access to, right?
And New York is, I have to say, I mean, sometimes everyone shits all over New York with some things.
People are like, oh, when you move to Jersey, why would I leave? Why would I leave? New York is so good for my children.
I know people that, I'm not sure who this was, but in Jersey, it is very hard to get these types of services, and it's free to the parent, and it's free for the family, which is great.
Yeah. But you gotta fight for more.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, please like, share, follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Also, come follow me on Instagram, _Kristen_Ann88. And if you're ready to take the next step because you fucking deserve it, come take a look at my website on Instagram.